Bye.
Hey everyone, good to see you.
Hi everybody, how you doing? Good to see you, Dan.
Yeah, I'm bigger now.
There you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here for another Wednesday in the Monkey Wench Podcast, and we've got a great guest. I don't know how long that I've known Dan, but at least on Facebook. But this is the first time, I think, speaking sort of face to face, remotely. But just want to let you guys know also that just a weekly reminder. Hey, Roger, good to see you. Please keep Judy Wheeler in your prayers. I think she had surgery this morning, and we have to keep her in our prayers. And we've got a whole great big prayer list here that I add to every week, and I keep everyone since the beginning from 2 years ago. Everyone is still on here, and so if anyone does have a prayer request, you can just type in the comments, just simple prayer request. You don't have to go into any detail. Just type in prayer request, and or else you can message me privately also, or Mark, either one of us. But
my list doesn't go back 2 years though.
Not quite.
No, not as long as yours.
Yeah, but and also just a reminder, if you have a question for our guest this evening, please type your questions in all capital letters. That way I'll be able to see it more clearly. You know, I try to read through all the comments, but if you have a question, it'll stand out and pop out a lot better for me if you type it all in capitals. Okay, Carl. Definitely, yes. And okay, good to see everyone. I'm not going to mention everyone by name because there's too doggone many people in here, which I'm not going to complain about. Quite
a lot
happy.
of people showed up to see Dan tonight.
Yes, yeah, Dan. He's been around for a while. Highly qualified. I don't have his biography here next to me, but all I can say is he's highly qualified. I'll let him go over everything he's involved in, which is quite a bit. He's got his finger in quite a few pies, and very knowledgeable gentleman.
I like pie.
You like pie?
I do.
Oh, that's good. All right, so Dan, tell us a little bit about what's going on. How did you get into this?
Okay, this is, I've been on quite a few interviews, and I usually start out simply with a tribute to my 5th grade teacher back when I was 10 years old. She made the mistake of saying the words abominable snowman.
Oh.
And I knew I was going to be a herpetologist by the time I was in 3rd grade because I was agitated. There wasn't any dinosaurs left, or officially. And back then, of course, we thought reptiles and amphibians were the closest relationship to them. And so my big thing was study everything that crawled with scales. And of course, the amphibians with the thin skins and the toads, frogs, salamanders, caecilians. But my next thought was, if I'm going to do any of the things that I plan on doing, I've got to record it. And the best way to do that is to photograph it. So I immediately got interested in wildlife photography. And it took me until the 80s before I published my first picture. But I met a gentleman who was 13 years older than me, and we toured the United States together, numerous places such as Florida and Yellowstone, and working everything from large mammals to the little tiniest insects with macro photography. So we worked everything in between. We're both herpetologists. And so when other people run because there's an anaconda, a python, or a saltwater crocodile, I'm going the wrong way. So, but that's what telephoto lenses are for, to stay out of trouble. So, but there's an incredible teeter-totter of what you determine to be safe versus as close as you can get. And then with individual variation of species and individual variation of particular individuals, whether it be bison or cougar or any number of other animals, even a little meadow vole, the wrong move and your critter leaves or puts you in potential danger. Luckily, I never had an accident. Almost. I've had a toe broken by a bull during a rodeo. When he stepped through the fence and smashed my foot. I've fallen from many horses in my younger years. I've never been bitten by venomous snakes. I've been bitten by alligators, crocodiles, tegu lizards, boa constrictors, African, Burmese, and reticulated pythons of varying sizes. I've raised them from little hatchlings at 3 feet to animals 145 or 155 pounds and 17 feet long. And so I've got a pretty wide, I'm a former zookeeper as well. And I've worked with the National Wildlife Federation, volunteered with the Milwaukee Public Museum in Haiti and Dominican Republic doing animal collections, and worked with specialists of animals that range from timber wolves to alligators. And so I've been very lucky. I haven't been hurt, but I've got a few scars. So as far as the Sasquatch thing, 10 years old. I love giant primates. Couldn't believe she said that. I went to the encyclopedias to check. And of course, you've got the Himalayas and the Yeti and all the people involved with that. And that was there. And so it opened my eyes, and I started reading every book I could find on the subject. That happened to be the same year, 1967, when Patty came out. So as soon as I saw that, I was a little bit relieved because I thought, oh, I don't have to go to the Himalayas. Something's cooking right here in North America. And then nothing much happened except for one night where I heard hissing when I was at a church camp at age 14. And in working with the Michigan Recording Project people, they had recorded what I'd heard and also had seen the sound maker. And so I knew it was Sasquatch related. I suspected that, but I never could find an adult human being to talk to about the subject seriously until I was in my 20s. Along comes Alan Sheldon, and he's the fellow that I spent much of my time traveling the country with. But then over time, But I was 43 by the time I joined the BFRO. My mom passed away, and my sister made a bet, and she said, "I'll bet you don't network these things professionally, and I'll bet you don't become computer literate. You can't let your little sister win a bet." So I jumped on that, and one thing led to once I got into the BFRO, I was there for 4 years. I'm a little unorthodox, and I was at the time a little bit too anxious and a little bit too happy to suit things because I just had to keep going. I gained 55 pounds. My typing went from 35 words a minute to 105. And I was on the phone from Alaska to Florida to Maine to California as fast and as hard as I could go. And that's where the weight gain came, because this all of a sudden became so interesting. It's all I cared about for a while.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a great situation, and something I'd caution people with, because if you get obsessed, it can be very, very, very problematic. And we all know people who've split up from their spouse just because of this particular subject.
Yeah.
Next up, I would say that after 4 years of working with Matt and numerous wonderful folks in the organization who are still dear friends with me in most cases, but not all.
Hey, Dave Wargo.
We,
Sorry.
I just took four to 5 years off, came back in 2008, and ended up in Georgia at a private property, saw my first footprint finally, and then it launched because I had to know more, and my curiosity is dangerous. And I did everything wrong initially. I'm not saying I'm doing anything right now, but at least I've had some visuals, and I've certainly got a lot of good examples of sound exchanges, and there's been more tracks. And I've been invited to many, many situations with people, and it's been very, very, very positive. I haven't had a negative situation. I've had rocks thrown at me. I've been growled at. I've been sneezed at. I've had things happen where it was in a sense of warning, but to me it was just sugar. So never had a bad visual. I've only had one daytime visual. Most of the time it's juveniles. And been working with Shane Carpenter and Randy Harrington back starting in 2019 up until recently. I'll be working with Shane again, I'm sure, some more. And numerous other people have invited me to their ongoing exchanges in probably 20 different states. And if the good Lord will let me, I'm going. So that's kind of a review. And Mark and I have met in Wisconsin, and I've done a couple expeditions speaking for the BFRO a little bit, Tennessee, Wisconsin, Missouri, been asked to come to Ohio and Kentucky with Charlie, and we'll see. So that kind of sums it up a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Now
I
you're
think you
doing
left out.
different,
Oh, go ahead, Mary.
I was just thinking about the different projects that you're in, the different studies on Bigfoot. You're doing a study on their footprints, and
Yes.
As well as the white Bigfoots. Also, you're
Yes.
collecting reports.
I've got a group called the Big White, or the White Biped Project.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm trying to track claims and reports of people who have seen white individuals, blonde individuals, or silvery white.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
And there's only one of me, and all these things demand a lot of time. So there's a lot of partial and impartial situations going on. But
Yeah.
I'm looking for as many people interested as I can, band them all together, share what we can, and continue to fight and find more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the problem with that is, you collect all this data, and but then I have the same issue. I'm like a squirrel. I get in one thing, and then something else draws my attention, so I go over there. And
Yeah.
but I jump in with both feet, with whatever it is that I'm interested in. But
Well, I would say the key is to keep it fun,
yeah,
productive, obviously, and we try to focus on areas that make it worth our time. I've spent a lot of time in situations where I probably shouldn't have, So communication and obviously reports with secondary evidence continues is a wise choice. And, it doesn't hurt to have good communication with a host of different people so you can all work together to come up with what's probably the best logical choices for time expenditure, funds, etc.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's all data, no matter what. It's all data, it's all information. And, if we are able to compile that and get it all together and see, okay, what is the trend? What is the pattern? If there is a pattern, and go
that's
on.
it. Patterns are so important.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you're a wildlife biologist?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
a herpetologist primarily, but I've worked with timber wolves. I've worked with raptors. I've worked with a lot of birds, and a host of other species, including fisheries. So basically, I was hired on as a herpetologist to study turtles, actually, year one. Year two, they put me on Massasauga rattlesnakes survey work. And then from there, I started doing survey contracts with different departments, both DNR, Endangered Species Division, the Nature Conservancy, Department of the Army, Trout Unlimited, and a host of private DOT, and a host of other entities that needed me to verify presence of endangered or threatened species. So I'm a bird watcher. I am a wildlife photographer. So basically anything that sucks air interests me. And so I have a diverse collection of photographs of dragonflies, butterflies, moths, birds, most of the reptiles and amphibians in the entire United States, and a host of mammals as well. So
Interesting. Yeah, we have a comment from one of the audience members. He says that David Wargo, he says that white or light gray Bigfoot here in Northwest Pennsylvania is common.
That's what he says. That's just him out walking in the woods.
And yeah, Dave's
People see him.
yeah. Dave collects reports from a lot of the native population from the Seneca Reservation in New York, as
That's
well
awesome.
as a wide area up in the Allegheny National Forest. And
I'm going to jump in and just say I'm very happy to see that Tim has made a comment on Cobble Mountain Reservoir too.
yes,
So that's really awesome.
yeah, I wasn't sure if you could see the comments or not, but
Yeah, this one came up. I can see it.
Yep.
I'm very happy.
that's good. And let's see. And Robin, she says that you have her footprint pictures.
I do. Robin has been instrumental in being very helpful in knocking out a county that officially didn't have anything before her work.
Oh,
So
awesome.
that was quite wonderful. And
Awesome.
the collaboration with other researchers are very much in agreement that she has found something quite splendid and wonderful. So
Yes.
that's the beauty of these footprints. You've got three different views from three different people, and you get three different answers.
Yes.
One of the quotes from Dr. Meldrum to our recently, we just lost Stan Courtney, a senior researcher for the BFRO down in Illinois.
Yeah.
And one of the quotes that Jeff gave Stan was, Well, it's very extremely difficult sometimes to be able to determine whether a footprint is a Sasquatch or a juvenile Sasquatch or a human. And that certainly should scream the potential close relationship between the two species.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes, especially with the juveniles, their footprints are, similar size to most of the time an adult male or woman. But sometimes the only thing that may give you a hint would be the depth of the print.
Right. Possibly the pattern of the walk.
Yeah.
This is a good time to probably bring up, I sent a couple of pictures to Mark of some footprints.
Yeah, I can try to pull them up here a minute if I
Okay.
haven't pulled them up yet, but I can.
The fellow, I didn't give you any warning, the fellow that took them was in a situation where he walked a mile to where he was going to fish. And the stream was up. He went fishing. He left.
Hmm.
He came back early the next morning, and here the stream had dropped, allowing a sand island to show. He checked the sand island, and there were two prints, about 10 and 11 inches each, and a myriad, just large numbers of tiny prints of various shapes and sizes in and along with those two medium-sized prints. Now, the typical person will go, well, somebody brought a bunch of kids in and they were in a kayak and they got out and they walked all over the island. Well, the island appeared in the middle of the night, and he was there very early in the morning. And so somebody would have had to come in the dark with flashlights on a back stream well over a mile from the nearest road. So I just find it interesting how often people discard the details and the information that go alongside prints that often look human.
Yeah.
In this case, we have some that look very human, and we also have some that are a little bit wider than human. So that brings up the point, what do we really know about the extreme variations on juveniles or teenagers or adults?
I was working on getting them, and Mary's already got it up there.
Well,
Yeah.
and here's one a lot of people would point to as, well, that looks a lot more Sasquatchy because it's a much more wider print. But we have, if you look at the individual variation of human beings, we have wide-footed people, myself included, narrow-footed people, and I think what I'm trying to say is that more effort, more photographs, more detailed measurements probably need to be on the board, because we know we can verify from a human because we know it's a human print.
Mm-hmm.
There's some that we're not sure about, and then there's some that we are sure about because obviously they were either hoaxed or they're real. And people who track well can usually verify the differences there.
Yeah.
So, very controversial subject.
Yeah, it really is. And no, I know that I'll be out in a grassy field with some friends, and they'll spot footprints, and I'll be looking at where they're pointing, and I say, I don't see a thing, but they're trackers. They can see it.
Mm-hmm.
God bless them.
Well, I don't come across too many tracks very often, so I'm really appreciative when people take the time to photograph them, measure them, and give us those dimensions so we can compare them one-on-one with other suspected tracks, but then also with human tracks. I had one report in Iowa County, Wisconsin years ago. I happened to be at the site, and I had to work that day, so I couldn't get there on time. But the next day, the report was at nearly midnight, and the claim was there's a 6.5-foot Sasquatch about 45 yards from the viewer who saw this individual step out of the woods and walk the edge of a hill and go get back into the woods. So I put him back at the location he made the observation, counted out 40 yards, and by golly, if I didn't find 13-inch footprints, approximately 60 inches between each foot strike.
Okay.
Well, 13 inches, half of that, or let's see, I guess you could 6.5 and 6.5 make 13.
Yeah.
So, and he claimed a 6.5 foot individual because he saw the crest of the head by a certain branch on the tree, which we measured at 6 feet 7 actually. So, my goodness gracious, that was to me that was an amazing find because he wasn't aware of the details with the perfect one-on-one lined track. And these were just impression in the grass, but they were still sharp enough to be able to photograph and measure. So that's one of my prized possessions.
Oh my, yeah.
Within 4 miles as the crow flies from a BFRO report I did back in about 2003 with a woman who was driving down a road in the rain and saw a 7-foot man wearing a hoodie, dark gray hoodie, walking alongside the road. So she was going to pull up and let him hop in the car until she got close enough to realize, one, he's really big, and two, that's hair. And she sped off. And her husband didn't believe her until they both went to the site to check to see the shrubs, which weren't there.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
So that's
Dan had mentioned that he was a photographer, or still is, but did photography. So I put up a few of the pictures that he had sent too on photography, and I think we have some artist pictures that he did as well. So that was an awful big dragonfly or butterfly, whatever it was. That thing looks like it's 8 feet tall.
Yeah, it does. Except it's about 4 inches long.
Wow. This one is amazing.
Luna moth there. Yep.
Wow. Gorgeous. And then beautiful. Wow.
Yep, that's from Rusk County, Wisconsin.
Okay.
One morning when I was heading out to do some fishing.
Whoop.
Uh-oh.
Take pictures of them.
There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. I was about to click on something and another picture popped in. And
yeah, that's probably my bad. I was putting up some pictures of artistry that he had done.
yeah,
Maybe I need to close some of these out.
there we go.
I'll remove some of these.
Why you have that up there? I'm just going to make the point. To me, this is the most important illustration that Sibylla Christine Irwin has ever drawn, and she's with the BFRO and does numerous witness reconstructions. And the reason I say that is because an investigator with the organization called her one day from Oklahoma and said, "Are you ready to draw?" And she said, "Sure, why? I'm looking at him right now." And so they spent, I don't know the length of time, but he described what he saw, and this is what she came up with. So she was able to draw while he was looking directly at it.
Wow.
It was about 6 feet tall and peeking around a tree near a rock pile. What's also interesting about this is the night that I had an experience, and I had a chance to see several young ones. Shane Carpenter, who was the lead investigator for the Ozark Mountain Sasquatch crew, he decided, okay, guys, I'm going in, and you guys need to describe to me how close and where I'm going, because we had one about 100 feet out that was laying in the brush, and he walked up on it within 7 feet, and they stared at each other, and he said this illustration matched the closest of anything he's ever seen.
Wow.
So it's kind of like a dual example of the accuracy that Sibylla typically utilizes or brings to the table when she reconstructs witnesses. And so anybody who's had a close-up experience that they would like to have done, I'm sure the closer they had it, the more realistic we can describe, or that it can be described. She would be more than excited to help people bring their experiences to life.
Yeah, she is absolutely amazing.
I just put her together with Jen from Wisconsin, Dan.
Yeah,
and they're doing a drawing for Jen, I think.
I'm glad.
And Dave Wargo had asked if, Dan, had you ever heard any reports of them eating cattails roots?
Yes.
Cattail roots.
Yeah, I have. I don't know a lot about it, but I know that people do it too. And so that doesn't surprise me, because I think anything we can eat, they can certainly eat, especially with the bigger, heavier molars and chewing capability. And well, you know, some of the descriptions and the reports that we get on their feeding habits certainly outdoes us. So
right.
Oh yeah.
This is from, I can't pronounce her last name very well, but Susan Franchik, I think, out of Ohio, and in the Mohican area. She had seen an individual leap across the road, and it was just a country road, but it cleared a 4-foot fence on the left side and leaped across the road without touching down and cleared the road. And I asked her, what stance did it have when it made this leap? And this is what she told me. And she said, this isn't quite like exactly because I've got the foot too large, but she said this was the general look of its position as it made the leap, which interests me, because I think there's a lot of leaping going on, and we are probably not tracking it or making a documentary out of it like we could or should. And so that's one of my interests that I'm interested in. We had Michael Johnson with SIR, Sasquatch Investigation of the Rockies. He told me back in about 2018, he said we had a big male with a 19-20-inch footprint, and it was standing like on a log, and it just leaped off from a standing broad jump. It did 20 feet. So with the weight of that, that's quite a distance. That may or may not have something to do with some of the tracks disappearing, because perhaps they landed at the base of a tree root, or when they landed, their foot made a funny mark and didn't show the entire footprint. You know, so there's a lot of questions on their physical capability. So I'm into that, because when I was in 7th, 8th grade, I used to climb up to the top of these hay wagons, and we'd pile them high, 17, 18 feet up off the ground, and for fun, jump off. So if we're jumping off at 18 feet, how far are they jumping? Yeah. Just a little question.
Yeah, that's such an unusual stance, but I guess if it's in the middle of like hopping a fence, or it was leaping across a road, is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what she described to me.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, I thought so.
Well, there's a lot of reports of them being up in trees, and they've got to have a way to get there.
Yeah.
And there's also reports of trackways that just end. And I know there's some of those that are out in the middle of the open, but some of them happen in the forest. And, it makes me think, well, did they just take a big jump? That's why the trackway would end if they jumped up into a tree. And who knows how high they can jump. They might be able to jump 30, 40 feet up into a tree for all we know.
For all we know. Who knows? They're moving at speeds that don't make sense to us if the claims and the reports are right.
Yeah.
I've talked to numerous people in the last 25 years that made the claim that they were keeping up with the vehicle at 45 miles an hour. That's better than
Mary?
That's better than grizzly speed.
Well,
Mary will tell you her story now.
yeah, I clocked one at 52 miles an hour.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Well, 45, why not 52?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, we don't know how fast they can run. Maybe they can run 70, and that one was just trotting. We don't know.
Was that on the flat or going downhill or?
No, it was on the flat. It was across a casino parking lot at midnight.
Wow.
So she timed it. She timed it and then measured the distance and calculated the speed from time and distance.
That had to surprise you at the time, perhaps?
Oh, heck yeah.
Well, I would think.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah, there was myself and another person that watched it running across, and we were just both in shock, at how fast it went. And it's just crazy.
Oh, yeah. How big a guy was this?
He was about 8 foot tall because he crossed in front of a highway sign, and a highway sign is about 8 foot tall.
Okay.
There was just a question today on Facebook about, had anybody ever heard of Bigfoot eating out of dumpsters? And I kind of thought, well, I wonder if anybody hasn't heard of that.
Yeah.
Good one. Good one.
Yeah.
And that reminds me, I've got kind of a funny story, dumpster story for you.
Oh, yeah?
My sister doesn't want me to say anything, so I won't say much, but I will say that...
Well, don't tell us it's your sister.
Good one. Her husband walked out to the garbage can one day, and there was a big rock on top of the garbage can. And of course, anybody could put that there. Yeah. We took the rock off, and he opened up the garbage can. A very large raccoon flew out of there.
Oh.
So chances are highway personnel found it in the garbage can and put a rock on it, probably set it up for somebody to come and pick it up. But in my curious thoughts, I always wondered, now just what if something else happened? So just food for thought.
Yeah.
Literally food for thought. So,
yeah. Well,
and that makes me think too, there's so many reports of cornfields involved.
Yeah.
And then you think, well, like Illinois got like 300 some reports, and there's a tremendous amount of corn in that state. Well, Wisconsin doesn't have anywhere near that much, and we've only got approximately 110 reports if you go the BFRO way. There's obviously other reports. But what's interesting is when you think about it, cornfields attract protein, white-tailed deer, squirrels, and raccoons. And raccoons is raccoon is the city animal that's found universally at all the different habitats, the wetlands, the mountains, the hillsides, the edge of town, agricultural areas. So raccoons. Just another thought.
I had my first sighting in Illinois. I didn't know if you knew that, Dan. I had my first sighting in Illinois.
Well, I didn't know that. No.
Right in the middle.
How many sightings have you had, Mark?
I've lost track. Well, sightings, I guess only, let me think. If I'm missing any, I think just 2 that I could say were like face on, and only one of those was in where there was enough light that I could actually see it well. The other one was just an outline kind of in the dark.
Sure. Well, that's
good. I've heard them talking. I've had them within 50 feet of me in the dark talking. Gosh, I every now and then I'll be sitting around and I'll think, oh, I remember seeing that and I forgot to tell anybody about it. It's like I've had some UFO sightings too, but I don't talk about those usually.
Sure.
It's just whatever happens to come to mind at the time. But I had my most recent one in February of this year in Alaska.
Oh my goodness, I'm jealous.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was a weird one, but I've already told about it on the channel here, so I can talk.
I'll listen up and catch it. Thank you.
Yeah. And
Mary, Mary, I'm just going to be rude and jump in. Mary, when was the last time you saw one?
Clear sighting, let me think, would have been, probably, no. I would say the Oklahoma one, the one that ran across the parking lot. But wait a minute. No, it would have been the one right here by my house. There's a gray one, an old one, and I've spotted him at nighttime, running, across the back of the property every so often.
Wow.
And but yeah, I've seen him a few times. Haven't seen him in a while though.
Well, I've only seen one by day, and I had to wait 59 years for that.
Yeah.
And that was last year coming back from Alabama. I spoke down there, and then I stopped in Tennessee to meet a fellow who had activity on his property. From there, I had a few options, but I called a good friend of mine in Indianapolis where I'd found footprints before, or at least one footprint rather, and she and her daughter had found a number of different footprints. And I went over there to visit. And I had gotten there a little after 5 o'clock. And we had, as always, they have a wonderful supper. And so I had that. And then I'm relaxed in her easy chair. And here I see an 8'4" Sasquatch walk by from the shed past a flowering dogwood tree. And at the time I didn't know it, but the flowers were 7 feet plus off the ground. And in measuring that, this individual had a head. He was a head taller than that. And I was looking through blinds, so I didn't get a great view at like 70 feet minimum, just 60 to 70 feet. Might have been 85. I didn't measure exactly because I couldn't tell exactly where he was. But when he walked by the flowers, his head was in the 4th tier of the blind, and the flowers were in the 2nd. And they were 7 feet something off the ground. Wow. So 8'4". At first I thought he was 7, but once I measured the flowers, my goodness gracious. Reddish brown, lanky build like a linebacker, not a round head, couldn't see the detail on the profile. So I obviously want more, but I saw him from the hips up, and they get footprints there, and juveniles will come in and pull the bird feeders off the shepherd's hooks and lay them in the garden. And then you get little tracks. And then they get to hear the adults from the gullies in the past. The next day we went up, we went out and looked around. I've seen some interesting structures there. And Shane Carpenter was the man who basically finally got through my thick head that there's an association between structures and Sasquatches. I simply did not believe it at all. Ever. I do now with somewhat, and I do know in certain situations it seems to be the case. I'd like more verification, so I've got a chance to work on that as well at a couple of different locations in Minnesota and Idaho, which I'm hoping to fulfill again, and Washington and Oregon. But what was interesting was there was a path that led down to the river. And I was told we can often hear them crying down here. And she thought it was juveniles, maybe a baby, don't know. But what was interesting was across the path on the other side was a field, and there was a stick marker, almost like a cross, with it being broken. And you could go a quarter mile away at the tree line and see that along the road. So it marked the path.
Yep.
I thought that was wonderful.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Elaborate more on the guy that I saw, but I can't. It was just 1, 2, 3, 4 gone.
Amazing. Yeah, one of the studies that I'm currently on is on stick structures or glyphs primarily that are laying on the ground forming patterns. And
you want to hear something interesting, Mary?
Yeah.
Somebody put a picture of a glyph on Facebook recently, and they wanted to know if anybody had any idea what it meant. And I thought, well, my son has been teaching me about AI. So I thought, I wonder what AI thinks it is. So and Dan, you may have been on this. I don't remember. I think you were. I think your name was in the list of chats in there. But I took and I just cut out the part of the picture where the glyph was, and I went over to AI and I put that picture in AI. I uploaded it to AI and I said, what does this symbol mean? And it deciphered it. It gave me a meaning for it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. It was something innocuous, like, well, it means hello or something. I don't remember.
Sure.
But it actually said that it could decipher that glyph. So that might be something you want to try with some of those, Mary, just to see what it says.
Yeah, I have tried it with a few of them, and it couldn't quite make it out. I guess it blended in a little bit too much with the background, the ground.
Oh, well, this was a glyph that was flat on the ground, so it was pretty easy to see.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people say that they use Native American symbolism and language and different things.
Yeah.
And, so I don't know if it thought it was a Native American thing, and that's why it could decipher it. I have no idea. It didn't tell me how it figured it out. It just said, here's what it means.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
I've only got one glyph story for you.
Yeah.
I was in Ohio at B. Mills's festival. It would have been in 23. And I ended up camping. What was interesting was I was planning on making a fire there. I never did. But I took all the kindling and I pushed it around the fire area so that I'd have easy access and I could whip into that real quick and get a flame going. Well, the last night that I was there, I slept. I got up in the morning and none of that kindling was there. Instead, there were all kinds of designs around my tent with that kindling. And I've rarely spoken about it. I photographed each and every individual one for the future for people like you that might be able to compare it with experiences you've had or someone else. We know some people take it very seriously, and so many discard it. Well, I'm learning that I should discard less and pay more attention to detail. Whether it's the kids, whether it's whatever, there have been numerous experiences.
Yeah, there actually are patterns that are repeated in different areas of the country.
Right.
And I don't know, I think I'm fairly close on an interpretation, but
cool.
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, I know a lot of people are taking it seriously.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, Luke Gross, I know has spent some time with it down in Texas way. And there are plenty of people in the Pacific Northwest that are working on it. Yeah. And it's been laughable for so many folks, but I don't know that we should laugh so hard because I think first of all, we're dealing with something that's ridiculous. We don't have any body or body part publicly of the target species complex that we're all so enthused about studying. And we know, many of us know it's real because we've seen it, but yet, scientifically, it simply is not acceptable. Yeah. And so we're dealing with an incredible mystery to us and not so incredible to other people who simply discard the whole thing because there's no body, so they can't be real.
Right.
So as we continue this march, it's just wonderful that more and more people are spending time communicating together, sharing information. Yeah. I hope that's what we get with the footprint work, the vocalization work, etc. So,
hey, it's all language, no matter what, and the different forms of language that they use. If everyone is able to, share what they learn or collaborate even, let our knowledge, put it together. And you never know. We may be able to put an end to at least one part of the mystery.
Sure. Well, it wasn't too long ago that wood knocking was laughed at.
Yes.
And there's numerous other things. And back in my day, half of us believed in hypnotherapy or hypnotism. The other half didn't.
Right.
And now that's pretty much a universal acceptance. But now we have mental telepathy. And that's a big no-no for so many.
Yeah.
And yet, the deeper we go into that, what do we really know about that?
Yeah.
I think that's an incredible exploration subject for. I've got too many friends that would normally laugh at it and publicly do so that have come up behind my back and whispered and said, "Don't tell anybody, but this is what happened to me. And this is what they said."
Yeah. Yep.
So that's interesting. Mark, have you had any experiences that way?
Not specifically.
No. Mary, you?
I have not experienced any of what they would term mind speak or mental telepathy.
Okay.
I've never experienced it.
I guess
interesting.
when I heard ESP, I was thinking ESP. I guess it's kind of the same thing, but yeah, I did have one instance in Alaska where
you did
something talked to me inside my head. If that's mind speak, I don't know.
I would say so.
Yeah.
It was pretty loud and pretty in my face. It just it told me to stop. It just said stop. And at first I stopped. I thought, what was that? And then I started walking again. And the second time, right as it happened, it felt almost like I walked into some kind of a pressure. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like walking into pressure. And then it said, stop now. And I was like, oh, okay. And that time it got my attention more, especially with the pressure pushing against me. So I turned around and left, and that was the extent of it. So,
that's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it took me a while to convince myself that I'll tell you what I did. I went into town I used to hang out at a gun shop quite a bit there where I lived. And I went into the gun shop and I told these guys about it that were in there. I just told them, I said, I was out hiking this trail and something inside my head told me to stop. And I didn't stop, or I did stop, but then I started going again. And then it said, stop now. And then I told them about feeling like there was pressure. And they said, oh, that's just your subconscious. There was probably a bear around and you could smell it, but you didn't know you smelled it, but your subconscious recognized it and it told you to stop. And so for a while I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe. But the more I think about that, the more I've never had anything else happen like that. So, I don't know whether I call it mind speak per se, but if it was, it was. I mean, something definitely told me to stop, and it didn't give up until I stopped. So that's the experience I had, I guess.
Well, this opens up that door to some of the more unusual things that have happened to us. And Mary, to experience,
I've seen one disappear.
That certainly counts. and the speed at 52 miles an hour. My goodness.
Yeah.
For me, I was with, and I'll be honest, I'm just going to bring this up. I thought for a long time, and in a couple of my podcasts, I decided to share it, so I'll share it here too.
Okay.
I don't have any understanding of this, but here's what happened. We had maybe 15 people in our group last September in a very good county and a very good location. And half went north, half went south. 4 of us were left. 1 elected to sleep in the tent. There were 3 of us left, and we had rock and roll music going on. And one of the other fellows asked us, hey, would you guys like to go sit at the edge of the forest and just be quiet and listen? And everybody agreed to do that, my friend John and April. And I elected to stay by the fire. Off they went. And then I thought to myself, okay, this is perfect. Nobody's around. If you guys are here, can you let me know? I didn't say this verbally. I thought this. 1 to 3 seconds later, I got the most beautiful whoop I have ever heard on any recording. I've only heard that twice.
Mhm.
I was so happy. I should have had an automatic reaction and said, wow, that was awesome. Can you do it again? But I was so happy I did not, and just sat in the moment thinking, I can't believe this. This happened to me.
Yeah.
It's only happened once. Coincidence, confirmation, different viewers will have a different take. I personally don't know, but my gosh, was that ever fun?
Yeah.
And I'm heading back in September to the same place.
Wow.
So,
Well, and Gary, our moderator, Pops in the chat, said a lot of people have MindSpeak, and I know he has quite regularly, and he's going to be on with us the first Wednesday in September.
Yeah.
So if you tune in on that, you'll get to hear his stories about
I will plan to
having communication. He's in a very active area down in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
So anyway, so Dan, you mentioned some of them, but you have quite a few different groups, don't you, that you
I do.
follow or that you run?
I do. Most of them are actually hidden because I don't have time to moderate comedians. And so as a result, I just privately invite different people to them. And they're all growing, and they're all, I mean, you guys are in a couple of mine at least, and probably in more. A lot of them, 6 months will go by and nothing happens in the group. It's not going to get sunk. It's going to grow, but it takes me time to work with it because right now I'm working in 13 states right now that I'm trying to collect data in, but then I'm helping other researchers along in Florida, North Carolina, Washington, Texas, and I'm also interested in virtually every state because I want the footprints. And so I'm trying to find people that have taken pictures of footprints and then to try to get them to get me the measurements. And then I'd like to get the best, clearest picture that I can from them and then bring that in. Then I'm going to change the format so we don't lose there's any degradation in the capability of the picture as far as detail. And from there, if it's good, I will rephotograph it with their permission, and then in a format that we can blow it up to 4 feet long, 5 feet long, 6 feet long. And then now we've got a situation where we can see artifacts in the foot and this scars, old injuries, things of that nature that can help us identify particular different individual footprints. And this is just something I started about 1.5 years ago, and it's going very well in Texas. It's going very well in a number of other states, but it's just starting to be launched. But I've had numerous researchers tell me I've got access to their whole collection. So we will be putting that together, and then with some luck, I will be able to bring out a public situation where we've got some of the prints available to everybody for comparison, and hopefully that will stimulate more people to send more pictures.
Yeah.
So,
I think that you have at least one of mine.
Yeah, I'm sure I do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'll be looking to from Maine to Florida, from Alaska down. I'll be working with Fred Rail as well. I took 6 months to study his work because I wanted to know how aggressive really are they up there.
Oh.
And my first thought was if they hated us so much, they would be hurting and killing and taking people out, one, which in some cases are reported to do so. Two, I would think they would be destroying our travel capability.
Yeah.
And I checked, not one report with a bush plane had bush plane damage. Not one. Skiffs, No damage whatsoever.
Yeah.
Snowmobiles, different story. 3 were twisted beyond repair and thrown in snowbanks. Others had the rubber track pulled off, but could be repaired. In one case, a sled was thrown, and in one case, there was a retaliation of people shooting through the wall at a giant male, allegedly 12 feet in height. He came back with an 18 by 18 inch window and jammed an aspen through it like a dart. Anybody standing in front of that would have been taken out. Fortunately, no one got hurt. So that was the wildest, most aggressive one that I can find, except for allegedly some playing with skulls or doing other things. But I think there's a lot of. I'll answer the question about feeling when they're near me. Somewhat. It'll be a partial answer. But anyway, long story short, on the Alaska thing, I was amazed because I thought there'd be more aggression. And I asked Alexander Petrov, or however his last name's pronounced, Small Town Monsters.
Yeah.
I said, okay, you were out with some of the other fellas at a private property owned by a commercial jetliner pilot. And you stayed there the bulk of that field season. I want to know how many times you guys smelled musk or bad odor, because that's certainly associated with aggression or nervousness or whatever.
Yeah.
And the answer was not once. They had wonderful interactions with what I would consider juveniles. Big rocks were thrown toward the skiff, never hit it.
Yeah.
They were having fun because they were leaving handprints on windows.
Yeah.
They would leave, they'd come back. The John door would be opened or wedged open the way they wedged it open, but none of them did it. The hairy guys did it.
Yes.
And then there were all kinds of other incidences, but nobody got hurt. There wasn't musk. So I just find that incredibly very interesting.
Yeah.
As far as me feeling them, I had one night where I knew something was up, but I got sneezed at. And it was right after a beautiful patrol of coyotes came through. I got my best recordings. I was so happy on a private property where I did a 12-year study minimum. And I was alone, and it was like 10:30 at night, and the coyotes are gone. And all of a sudden, I hear the landowner sneeze behind me. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding, because she's elderly. And I look back at the house, and it's all locked up. It wasn't the landowner. Well, it sounded like a person, but it could have been a coyote. I don't think so. We have cougar there. Could have been a cougar. Yeah, it could have been. It could have been a Sasquatch. That makes more sense than with the coyotes than a cougar does.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I sat there for the next 45 minutes with a recorder on, waiting for another sneeze, an exchange and body shift, a throat grumble, clear the throat, anything. Total silence. Total silence.
Yeah, this is this notice from Dave. He said, and he's talking about our research area up in the Allegheny National Forest. We've been experiencing some weird things, paranormal activity, along with the physical activity, handprints and nose prints on windows, and
Sure.
Banging, whacking, and some vocals. It's a pretty active area.
Could you give some examples of some of the more unusual or unacceptable activity? Paranormal, so to speak.
Yeah, the paranormal activity, this would be inside the house.
Okay.
The cupboard doors will open and close.
Okay.
Chairs will move.
Do we associate that with Sasquatch, or probably not?
No, it's
Thank you.
totally separate. It's so they have both all kinds of stuff going on at that property.
Sure. So it's very, very interesting.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Very.
Speaking of paranormal, I will jump in and I'll share a couple of experiences I've had that I don't understand. I was visiting a friend of mine in Wisconsin years ago, 2 days after Christmas. It was 15-mile-an-hour winds, about 27 degrees, so it was freezing. And we left the house and heard immediately cattle calling, which there's no cattle there, so that's imitation. We headed for some pine trees, and getting close, she was pushed. Didn't see what pushed her. She was hurt. I got over there, and as I approached her, I smelled flowers.
Okay.
And as I'm smelling these flowers, I looked at her and I said, "Hey, do you smell anything?" And she looked at me and smiled, and she goes, "Yeah, I smell what you do. I smell flowers." So she answered it. She didn't, And then as we're sitting there debating that, I pulled out my digital recorder, just a small, cheaper one, and it was non-functional.
Oh.
And then I pulled up the back up digital recorder, and it was non-functional. And as I was putting them back in my pocket, we got wood knocks. And then she goes, "Look." And we saw a blue ball of light go through the woods.
Oh.
Very bright blue, beautiful blue, go through the woods. Orb or whatever.
Yeah.
I know nothing about this. It's only happened to me once. I did it. I made the observation without a camera, without looking through the camera. There was no picture. I just saw the light blue, but it was right after the wood knocking. Mm-hmm. And I thought, this is really interesting because it was the first time that I had experienced battery failure.
Okay.
And then to smell flowers in the woods without a source, that's interesting. So I thought I'd share that.
Now, did anything come up? Oh, you said the batteries were dead. Oh, goodness. Because.
But were they still dead later? Did you check it later and see if they were still dead, or did they come back?
They came back to life.
Yeah, that's what I expected.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have a friend.
I'll tell you that the blue orbs, I've been told on more than one occasion that the blue orbs are the ones that, how do I want to put it, that can signal some sort of danger. I'll just put it that way.
Okay. All right. Well, we had a fine night, and that was a highlight for me because I had never, ever experienced anything like that before or ever. And I've got friends of mine that have all described similar situations. So, but and that was a Wisconsin situation. And I've had experiences in Minnesota, Georgia, Tennessee, Colorado, Idaho, Ohio, to name most of them. And the one in Georgia was in 2020. And that was interesting from the standpoint of I was in the camp alone. And nothing happened except that I asked the forest, "Would you please let me know you're here? And you can do so loudly, and please look at me." And I slept in a Yukon because we had just had a mountain lion road crossing maybe earlier in the night. Yeah. I was with my friend Keith Bearden at the time.
Oh.
And well, Keith went on alone, and I was left alone at a very private spot that had a history of wonderful activity. And that night at 2:00 in the morning, crash on top of my Yukon and made the whole vehicle jostle. And I'm smiling ear to ear, thinking, finally, I've got a chance here. Yeah. And I sat up for an hour and a half, and nothing. Nobody would look in the window at me. If they did it behind my back. So.
Yeah. Did you find handprints or anything on your?
No, I did not. But the strangest thing that happened was on the cooler, which I set out for them in case they wanted it. I wasn't worried about bear. I'd be fine too. They put, or somebody put, or else the wind blew 2 different oak leaves symmetrically placed on both sides of my cooler.
Oh,
And I photographed that. And it was very, very, very interesting photo.
yeah.
I could not find the source of the second oak leaf.
Huh.
So that was interesting. Other than that, I've had vocalizations that are suspect that I would deem likely them in most of the states that I offered. One of the more interesting was our host over in Colorado. Her husband walked around all day whistling, and he had a 2-tone whistle. And when everybody went to bed at night, from the forest, we heard that 2-tone whistle. So that was kind of interesting. I'll let you guys ask questions. There's decades worth of experiences here.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I've got a couple that I want to make sure that I do hit.
Yeah, absolutely. You were talking about the orbs, and all the groups that you have. It's a wonder that you haven't started up a private group to gather, any reports on the orbs.
That's a good idea.
Unless you have one.
No, I don't.
Not yet.
Where did you have your Bigfoot sighting in Tennessee, out of curiosity?
The Indiana is where I had the sighting.
I thought you said you had something happen in Tennessee, though.
I did. I had vocalizations there.
Where was it? In near Tellico by chance?
Outside of Clarksville. This would have been in 2000.
Way in the other end of the state. Well, the reason I ask is I had my greatest orb experience in Tellico Park. Tellico, I think it's a state park. It's kind of in southeastern Tennessee, right on the North Carolina border. In 20, I lose track of years, maybe 22 or 21, somewhere in there.
Sure.
But anyway, I had a big, I saw, along with a number of other people, what were, I'll be conservative and say hundreds of orbs. They were all tiny ones, though, but they were glittering, and they weren't fireflies. They were the size of fireflies or smaller, but they were all different colors. There were purple, blue, white, red. I mean, almost every color you can think of. And they were just all over through the forest around us. And it was pretty amazing. And a lot of people report seeing big orbs. I mean, big, like as in, at least the size of a softball or bigger. But these were all little bitty guys. And
wow.
It was near a cemetery. It was near a cemetery, and I have heard reports that people think that they may be related to the cemetery somehow. I don't know what they think exactly, but
spirits or something.
Yeah, that's what they think. Which I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but maybe I'm open to almost anything after all these years. But so Dan, that leads me into what else I wanted to ask you is where are you in the spectrum of what Bigfoot is? I mean, we get people all the way from its flesh and blood to its totally spirit, and it just appears in human or in earthly form where we can see it when it wants to, and everything in between. So
it's like describing my favorite sandwich. In other words, it depends on what day and what hour and how hungry I am. I started out knowing that it had to be some sort of primitive man combination, ape man type deal, like everybody else.
Yeah.
The problem is all the secondary circumstances that continually repeat and are described by so many people of good quality base, I mean, people of academics, people of religion, people of, just honest, good people from all facts of life have all kinds of unusual repeated behavior. And there's no body, there's no roadkill, there's nobody shooting one that surfaces publicly. There's nothing like that. And there's reports, there's a BFRO report here and there of one getting hit by a vehicle that somehow either gets picked up by Men in Black or ends up disappearing. Where am I on this subject? First of all, I'm not going to wipe the whole slate as the same. I don't think that they are all exactly the same with exactly the same capabilities. Now, whether that's experience, whether that's juveniles, but I'll compare it with human beings. One, we have people that can handle 2, 3, 4 languages, no problem. We have other people that struggle with just one. We have people who are mechanics and academics and writers and artists, and we all seem to have special gifts. And they certainly seem to have a lot of special gifts, especially with it does not make sense from a flesh and blood standpoint that we don't have them highly verified with our technology.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as far as what do I think, I don't know. I knew more when I was 18 than I do now about them, because there's just too many things that continue to override. I know that they're faster than we think. I know that they're stronger than what we think. I know that they swim very well. And I know that they have a hair structure that can really mess up us looking at them visually.
Yeah.
Now, do they take it beyond other levels? They may. Do I know that? No. I've been told by people that some of my photographs have images of them that it's like almost a fog type thing in an area where there's no fog. I've got one shot from our study area in Missouri, and I'm told that's them. Is it? I don't know. Could be. This mental telepathy thing continues to go on. I have a friend who's very dear to me, and she tells me that she was told by an unknown female, "Your kind talks too much." That's one example. I'm not going to mention who, but another friend told me he was walking in a valley known to have a particular alpha male, and he was listening to rock and roll, and he was told, "Shut that off." I have numerous other people telling me things. I've got a friend who told me 2 juveniles came into his house. At least, it might have been 1 juvenile, but twice it happened, and urinated on his pants. And his response was, "I know your parents. If you do it again, I'm going to tell them." And it never happened again. So, I mean, there's just too many crazy things that happen that we can't explain, and it's wonderful, absolutely beautiful mystery. And my response to this is respect them. Treat them like you'd treat a friend.
Yeah.
And let them know that. I have one game cam picture. The flash didn't go off. I got a silhouette of a head and shoulders. The camera was placed at 5'3", and I couldn't repeat the scenario due to the landowner. The landowner would not follow any of my suggestions, or anything. So God bless her, she passed away. She's a wonderful person. But I'll say she was just slightly a little bit headstrong. A little bit difficult to work with. And so we only got and she burned the SD card or fried it because she was convinced that the pictures were that of a dog. The camera was 5 feet 3 off the ground, and the individual looking down on the camera, in my estimation, was likely 7 feet in height, because I knew exactly where he was standing. Eventually, I'll make that available. I just do not do it online because of theft.
Yeah.
And also, I can't guarantee it's what I think it is. What it looks like is it looks like one of those Samoan guys on a surfboard out on the ocean in the wind with the hair going everywhere, bent over with big wide shoulders, no neck, and a big heavy-duty broad jaw. And that's what I got. So no eye shine. And then, unfortunately, I couldn't recreate because from the SD card. So there were only like 3 or 4 pictures made, and I was given one with the originals. And then somehow it's in my archives and I have to relocate it, but I ended up photographing it. And then there's some reflection on the photograph, and then that makes it look odd. So anybody looking at it would go, oh, I don't know. I can fake this. That's what you're probably going to get out of from most people. But I have shared it with a number of people. At some of the programs that I give, I bring it then. And I've gotten some very good reviews on it. But again, you can only tell so much. Yeah. How did I get it? I did what Arlo Williams suggested that I do. I went to the woods and I said, hey, this isn't for you. This is for cougar and bear and wolves. But if you want to be in it, go for it. And that was it. And I've never used photographs, to try to prove anything.
Yeah.
I'm a professional photographer. I would love to have 5,263 pictures of these guys. I would love to. But it's not that easy.
No.
And most people grab a shot, and it may or may not be them. And then it gets blown up. And now the megapixels have totally destroyed the image. And we're looking at boxes and squares and going, okay. But they could still be a picture of them. It's just a horrifically bad photo. That's all.
Yeah. So. And that's what people just don't understand whenever they say, oh, it's got to be pictures of them with all the cameras out there.
Right. Well, it's low light and cameras shake because most people are normal. And they're probably going to be nervous if they're holding that camera. And most people aren't going to do it off a tripod. Most people aren't going to have the proper lenses. And most people aren't going to have the patience to do it all properly. And you might only have a couple of split seconds, although there's plenty of camps where they're peeking behind a tree. And with the right setup, one could take a general image and sharp and then blow it up.
Yeah.
I've seen friends do it. Jeff Yellick has a beautiful image of a male looking through the foliage at him and his wife, Teresa. Adam Davies has the trail cam of him and Laurie Simmons sleeping. Mm-hmm. And this fella is right along the edge of the picnic table looking down at them. Mm-hmm. Many of those images are argued, but usually by people that have no vested interest or won't take the time to get to know the photographers and the claims and the history and, put in the legwork. So, I'm talking too much here. I see we got a nice question here.
Varix asks a question for the panel. Have any of you ever experienced or heard of anyone being frozen or paralyzed, unable to physically move while being completely lucid or awake? Or have you experienced infrasound?
I haven't myself. I don't think. Although I'm questioning that because in the last 25 years, it seems as though at least one time I just might not have felt well. And that may or may not have something to do with this. I have a friend in the BFRO, and she's well-liked and very popular. And she's been hit with, I guess, infrasound a large number of times. And there are other people who have told me that, yes, they felt like they couldn't move, whether that's fear or whether that's something else arresting their body in some sort of a freeze situation. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I've been hit with infrasound, I don't know how many times, and I've had different reactions just about every time, from upset stomach to a migraine to confusion, just different every time.
Mm-hmm.
But as for being frozen or paralyzed, there's sleep paralysis, but I think she's talking about something totally different.
Mm-hmm.
That, no.
Well, that's what I thought of was sleep paralysis, and I have heard it. I can't remember how, but I have heard it associated with people that do Bigfoot research experiencing that. Somebody here just a while back had put out some information about how to bring yourself out of it if you experience it, but I didn't really read it that close because I had never experienced it. Didn't figure I ever would.
Mm-hmm.
The second part of it, I think, Dan, I probably know who you're talking about.
Oh, yes, you do.
Her first name's, yeah. And she actually has been invited to be on here too, but hasn't responded yet. But anyway.
We need to kidnap her. I'd love to hear her.
Yeah. I've, if we're talking about the person from Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been with her when she got zapped, or I've been in the neighborhood, let's put it that way, on the same outing, but not immediately by her. But I've wondered a couple of times if last year the reason I felt so bad up in Wisconsin was if something had happened. I don't know that, but I mean, it just really happened. It was really, really bad while I was there. And then, it wasn't that bad before I went. And within a few days after, I felt better. So it just made me wonder.
Sure.
And then, there's been a few other times when I've been out and I didn't know that I was zapped necessarily or experienced infrasound. But I do recall times when I would get sort of sick or get a headache or whatever. And then after I left the area, it went away. So whether that had anything to do with it or not, I have no idea. But that's about the strangest stuff I've had happen.
Sure. As far as the strangest thing that's happened to me, getting the visual by daylight in Indiana has to be right up there. That was quite wonderful for me. I had an accident with fire in 2018. I ended up in the burn center for 17 days. I had skin graft surgery, and I didn't get out for quite a while. When I did, I finally ended up going back to my study location at this private property where I talked about getting sneezed at. And on the trading block, after I was there several days, off and on, there was a burdock plant put on the trading block. And I immediately dove into that to look to see what's the medicinal on that.
Yeah.
First of all, the roots were ripped off. Turns out the roots were a cancer inhibitor. So I thank them for hopefully I seem to be fine so far, and that was 2018. I looked up burdock, which is that stick-tight type plant that many people are familiar with and dislike very much. It stated that one of its best uses was topically to put on skin that had been burned.
Yeah.
And that was gifted to me.
Wow.
So my thoughts initially were, did they smell my leg and respond this way? But whoever did it seemed to be caring. I had 8-inch footprints around the house almost on a regular basis who I believe I was interacting with when I would put little games with dimes and quarters and moving them around. Things would be on top of the roof. They'd take the screen off the leaf ducts, and sometimes all the leaf ducts would be pulled off the back of the house and laid nicely under the clothesline, which was a round deal on a pole. And that's, of course, where we put the game cam. I've had bricks moved. I've had rocks moved. I've had valuable vases that could easily be broken, picked up and gently put in the bird baths. I've had big statues picked up and moved. I've had a table picked up and laid it against the house. In all the years that landowner lived alone, she not once got a visual. He had interactions and vocalization exchanges. We had some weird calls that at first we thought were juvenile great horned owl that weren't. And this individual acted like a mammal but sounded like a bird. And it would be from up on the hill, it would be out in the field, it would come closer. One night it came so close, it scared her dogs. She became very upset and she yelled and hollered at it. And it was over behind the gasoline barrel. And she yelled at it and said, "You go back out in the field or you go up the hill. Don't you ever do this again. You're scaring my dogs horribly. Don't ever do this again. I'm angry." This is coming from a little 5'3", 113-pound woman, you know, and never had that experience again. It would always call from a farther distance. So that was kind of one of the little fun things that happened. You know.
At least that one listened.
That one listened.
Yeah,
it makes you wonder how much they know.
Yeah, I've chased after one with a golf club because
I was gonna. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he made me angry because he was tormenting my dog.
I was going to ask Dan if he had a group for people that chased after Bigfoot with a club.
We're going to
could be the founding member.
We're going to
Mary could be the founding member.
Have you chased them? That'll be the name of the title. We'll put them together.
Well, with the club, especially. Yeah, I've heard of other people that have chased them, but not with a club.
Golf club.
Yeah, a golf club. Well, Shane Carpenter actually had another clan for the one that we had been working on through the late teens and early 20s. And he was actually chasing a couple of individuals, and they didn't like that very well.
Yeah.
And eventually they just avoided him altogether.
Yeah.
There wasn't aggressive returns. It was just stay away from that dude. He's aggressive. So.
Yeah. One time we were camping up in the Allegheny National Forest. There was a group of us, and we were just sitting around the campfire, and there was a Bigfoot who was just hanging around watching us just outside of maybe about 50 feet off, in the woods. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys sitting around the campfire, he was sitting there watching it, and finally he got fed up and he jumped up and chased after it in the woods.
Oh my!
And I thought to myself, oh boy, he's going to pay for this tonight, and he did. Middle of the night, it came back, and I think primarily it was hitting him hard with infrasound.
Oh no!
He got horribly sick,
right.
And he was sick for days. And he said, never again. And I said, yeah, I don't advise anyone to go chasing him. What I did was stupid. I was lucky. I just don't do what I do. But
there's a guy, and I don't know his name, but there's a guy from down in Georgia, and he's been on a couple of different programs, but they talk about him chasing them He's apparently was a high school track athlete or maybe college even, but can run really fast. And apparently he's chased them on more than one occasion, but never caught one.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently never got hit with infrasound that he's ever talked about. So
Yeah.
I don't
they
know
just
what
run off and leave him.
I don't know what you do if you catch one. I have a friend of mine. She passed away in Florida, but she told me incidents of there was a Vietnam vet that lived in a housing unit in South Florida, and he had somebody tapping on the windows, and he wasn't very happy about this.
Yeah.
And finally, he decided, I'm going to go give that teenager a lesson. And he went out behind and found that the individual had buried himself into like a large flower setting. So you've got big plants with big flowers, and the individual's back there. He did some watching and noticed that he thought he could see hands, so he put his hands in the flowers and grabbed the individual's hands. Didn't last long. His grip was broken quickly and reversed, and the individual grabbed his hands. Well, they didn't let him go because I think everybody was surprised that this incident was happening.
Yeah.
And he was very freaked out because he noticed how much hair the individual had, and he went back into the building. But the rumor was that was the last that happened. So he apparently broke the habit of tapping on the window. So it makes you wonder how many things happen with people over time where we get desensitized or they get desensitized. And because there's intelligence, what's really going on? I've read incidences of people waving to them and getting waved back.
Yeah.
Obviously gifting, which is generally a no-no. But all kinds of incidences. And it just makes you wonder. I think a lot of people could easily get photographs, but there's a pride thing, there's a respect thing, and there's I just want to break the bond thing. And I can really understand that. And it took me decades to learn that.
Yeah, I know with me, people ask me, why didn't you put up a game camera or something and catch this thing, coming around my house? And I just kept thinking respect, I didn't want to break that, even though it was coming around, peeking in the window, banging on the walls, and everything. It was still, I didn't want to antagonize, but I wanted to show it respect because I knew it was just the one, but there were more in the area that were all right.
Right.
And, just didn't want to do it.
Have you done any recording?
I have, but I don't. I really wasn't able to catch anything.
Okay, I was just curious because that's going to be my next adventure as I operate the footprint request comparison study. I'm also looking toward taking the device that I showed you that I got from Dennis Wilcox. Let's see if I can. Here we go. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, he's got it set up camouflage. It's set up with just a small recorder, but he's got it set up with enough batteries where we can go 10 days with it. And my goal here is to maybe jump 10 or more counties and put these out and try to get suspect locations where I'm getting suspect calls. Once I find a few that I think will work, and I do have a number of different locations right now that I believe are active, then we'll focus more recorders on them and then eventually upgrade to a longer recording because I'd like to add to, the types of recordings that people have out there now. And David Ellis, for one, has probably got the largest collection of recordings of anybody out there. And I just think it's very, very interesting to see how extreme some of these recordings are. is that I know Julie Wench out in Julie Ranch out in North Carolina has gotten recordings of her husband calling her name by name, and he has heard her call him by name when either spouse was not there.
Yeah.
People have stated the same. And in my mind, if Coco the gorilla could master 1,000 words with sign language, if she had the physical capability, the anatomy to be able to speak, I think she easily could have. And if these fellas have that, which is what it seems like, judging by some of the sounds that we hear from them, we might be in for a very, very big surprise, at least what some of them are capable of doing. If we've got little human children, 18 months old or 2 years old, who are talking quite well, just imagine the 46-year-old Sasquatch that hangs out in the room for entertainment, watching our televisions and listening to the family grow up year after year after year after year. I think we're underestimating what we're working with.
Yeah, Bigfoot New York Todd says, I have video on his channel of his name being called from the woods.
Awesome, Todd. Very good. I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, heck, I was going to say something, I can't remember what it was. Oh, well.
So Mark, I got a question for Mark here. So what's the strangest thing you've heard that you accept that they do?
The strangest thing that I've heard?
Yeah, in other words, you know that they do certain things or they allegedly do certain things. What surprised you the most? For me, I think it was Mary's 52-mile-an-hour speed. You know,
for me, it's that they can disappear. I was looking dead on one and it disappeared while I was looking straight at it. And it wasn't a fade out. It was there and then it wasn't.
Wow.
That's by far the strangest thing that I've ever had happen to me. And prior to it happening to me, I'd heard of it, but I wasn't sure I believed it. But kind of like you with what it was you said a while ago, where you said you didn't believe it, but now you do. So that's how I am. Yeah.
Well,
that's definitely the weirdest.
When we experience things, it certainly changes philosophies and understanding.
Prior to that, hearing them talking, it sounded just for the world like the Sierra sounds, what I heard.
Really?
Not as loud. They weren't screaming, but the language sounded just like the Sierra sounds. But I was in Pennsylvania, and at the time it didn't dawn on me, but later I thought, how can the language sound the same from California to Pennsylvania? But it did. It sounded the same.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was prior to it disappearing. That was the second biggest thing, was when I actually heard it myself. I mean, I had heard the Sierra sounds before, but I never thought I'd ever hear anything like that.
Sure. One of the places I'm invited to, apparently this phenomenon is a repeat behavior where there he is, there he isn't. So
where I had it happen to me, I was told that it's a common sighting, that the locals see them do it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You want to know how big that one was, Dan? You were talking about size earlier. I went back the next day and measured where it was standing. 14 feet, almost exactly.
Wow.
It was in Alaska.
Yep.
February of this year.
Well, Fred Real continues to talk of 12-footers like they're a dime a dozen.
Yeah. Yeah. I can believe it.
I haven't seen anything that big in the lower 48, but I believe they're there.
Yeah.
The one that I saw that was kind of an outline in the dark was, I would guess, between 7 and 8. At the time, I thought it was a person, so I wasn't really focusing on how big it was. But, in my mind, thinking back on it later, I realized it was really big.
Yeah.
For a man, anyway.
A lot of us used to think anything over 8 feet was ridiculous. Now it's the point where anything over 10 feet is ridiculous. And back when I was in the BFRO, some people felt like anything over 12 feet was ridiculous. Now it's almost like we have to evaluate the whole thing.
Well,
because
not that long ago, though, there wasn't anybody really doing Alaska, prior here to the last, really, that I knew of, probably within the last 5 to 10 years, or the first time I knew that there were even people doing research in Alaska.
Yeah.
And I got the chance to go up over the winter, this past winter, to a very, very active Bigfoot area. And I have a doctorate in organizational management, so I got hired to come up and work for a company. Well, it was actually a municipal government. But anyway, I went up to work for them, and while I was there, I had plenty of time not plenty, but I had time to drive around and look for things. And ironically, the one I saw wasn't when I was out looking for one. It was on my way home from work one day. So
that's kind of the way it works, it seems like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I did everything wrong, apparently. I mean, I would be the one out at 2 o'clock in the morning whistling in the dark, hoping, go ahead, kill me, because I just want to see you so bad. I don't know how many I looked at in the dark and didn't see because I didn't have the proper equipment. I've got fear now, thanking my buddy Doyle and numerous other people are helping me out with a few ideas and locations, and so I'm very excited about what's coming around the corner. So my next little trip will be Missouri with the Bigfoot conference down there. Yeah, Mary Ann puts that on, and then after that, I was just invited to come out to Washington and talk. So we'll see about that in the future. But I love the Pacific Northwest. I'm hoping I can get back out there. I haven't seen my sister for a long time. She's down in Florida, so we'll have to do that trip. And then I'll be in touch with you guys because as I get around, it's going to be more Illinois, more Pennsylvania, more Ohio. And I'm hoping for a train to Maine because I just haven't got those top 3 states yet.
If you keep about the first 10 days of October open for Pennsylvania, we might be able to hook up with you there. At least I can. Mary hasn't committed yet, but I'm trying to talk her.
I speak the 3rd, but by the 4th or 5th, I'd be open. If it's 10 days, if there's 5 more days left. That's in Missouri.
Where are you speaking?
Missouri.
Yeah, you'd have to drive because I think we start. I can't remember the dates. I got them on my calendar, but I think it starts on the 6th. But I always get there early. Hang on, I gotta. Oh, if I can make my calendar work, September, October. Oh no, actually, I'll be there probably on the 6th or 7th. But the actual dates for my outing, as I call it, are the 8th through the 12th. Well, the 11th, really. I'll leave on the 12th, probably. That's a Monday, but most people leave on Sunday.
Okay. All right. But, I'll look and see what I can do with this new job that I just took. We'll see what the flexibility is there. I'm told it can be flexible, so there's hope.
Well, it's a pretty active area normally. Last year we didn't have much, but normally
it was still fun, though.
It was what?
It was still fun, though, even though there was really not much activity or none. I don't know.
Well,
it was fun.
It was. So what happened different last year, and I hadn't really paid attention. I'd always just booking it for when I booked it. But it turned out that for like 3 or 4 years in a row, we'd been there on what I call the dark of the moon or a new moon. And we'd had good activity every year. Well, then 2 years ago, so I'm a nonprofit organization, and I have a board of directors. So my board basically said, and some of the guests as well, well, why don't we do it on a full moon? Because we've been hearing that there are dogmen up here, and most of the dogman sightings happen on a full moon. So they wanted to try to see a dogman. So I scheduled it for a full moon. We were there right over a full moon. It was very bright at night and didn't have hardly anything happen. And obviously no dog men, but no Bigfoot either. So we got a couple of good whoops one night, scared the guy pretty bad that was with me. But other than that, really not a lot happened. But we had a good time. We sat around the fire and talked and had some good guests come out. And there are some great people up there. Dave Wargo was in here a little bit ago. I tried to get him, but he wasn't able. But Jeff Anderson is a guy that you'd love meeting him and his wife. They have we try to get them on here, but they're they're just busy. They got kids and grandkids, and I haven't had a chance to get them scheduled. But anyway, they have stories that you wouldn't believe. Jeff wasn't able to work for a couple of years from an injury, and so during that time, he and his wife basically spent every day out at night. They would go out at night every night. He had a Jeep with no top on it, and they would go drive the back roads and hear sounds and see things, and just sometimes park and just whatever, and listen for stuff. And they had some really interesting things happen, and they have some wonderful stories. So I hope I can get them on sometime.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well,
we are. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've got my hands full of Sasquatch. I'll leave the dogman stuff to all you guys.
Yeah. No, thank you.
I do cryptid. I mean, I'm interested in any of it. I'm with a dogman like you are with a boa constrictor. I'm not afraid of them. If there's one there, I'd probably walk up and try to talk to him. I figure my time's about done on this earth anyway. So if he kills me, he kills me. God knows when I'm coming home. But anyway, I started to say, and I don't want to. So we're coming up on 2 hours, and we try to get the show done by then usually. And so I wanted to give you the opportunity for any closing comments, or if you had a great story that you had missed telling that you want to tell the audience before we go.
As I review the whole deal here.
You said earlier you had some things you didn't want to miss, so that's why I wanted to give you the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, there's one in particular. My friend Teresa was traveling from Minneapolis to Michigan, and one night she drove across Minnesota, across the UP, and eventually about midnight pulled over at one of those little roadside deals with a picnic table, etc. And she was very tired. She had her 1-year-old son with her, and she fell asleep. This is one of the first BFRO reports that I did. And in the middle of the night, she realized how bad her son must have wrecked his diaper, and so she had to do a diaper change. So she turned the light on, started working on her son, realized that his diaper is just fine. There's no odor there. So she's trying to figure out what's going on, but she noticed he's got an intense stare outside. So she lifts her head and looks at the window in the little station wagon that she's driving, and here's a giant man with his hand on the hood of the car, bent down, looking directly so many inches away from the child through the glass. He's about ready to lose it. He's got Angora goat string hair hanging from his head all the way down around his shoulders. He's very dark. He's covered with hair. And now she's thinking, we're dead. He's going to kill us. So she just slumped back behind the steering wheel. The more she looked, the more she realized he didn't have any anger in his intent. He was just real curious with the youngster. Yeah. What was also interesting was her window was rolled all the way down. If the guy wanted to grab the little guy, it would take nothing for him to one step to the side, grab the kid, and go into the darkness.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who knows how much time he had to do that. And finally she realized, I'm in a car. And she rolled the window up, and he was just still sitting there looking at the kid, kind of glanced at her, but look at the kid. And she rolled up, or anyway, she fired up the vehicle. The lights came on. He stood back a couple feet and took an arm like this across his front because of the bright lights. She put it into reverse, took off, and went home. and I knew her for the better part of 10 years. And I finally asked her, I said, hey, did you ever tell your son? And initially she said, no, I can't because I don't want to lose his trust. Finally, she wrote me one day and she said, I told him.
Yeah. Do you happen to know, did Sibylla Irwin, did Sibylla happen to do a drawing of that? Because I remember a drawing I saw. I thought that she did with one standing with its hand across its head.
It wasn't that particular incident.
Oh, okay.
But it was similar. And she had so many. And that's something we should say. We should remind our viewers, please do go to SibyllaIrwin.com and check out her work because it's incredible. Her and Alexa Evans, who doesn't draw anymore, Sasquatch renditions, those two women were as detailed on this subject matter as anybody I know. We've got other wonderful artists now, but Sibylla is as accurate as anybody out there.
She's the GOAT.
Yep, she is.
She's just amazing, and I agree. Go to her website, and Gary or someone, if you could type it into the comments, and that way people can see and go to the link. But we highly recommend you check it out. Check out all the wonderful drawings. She's an extremely talented lady.
Please do. And she's got various things that she could make available for you, from lampshades to clothing to whatever. And that would help her because she does a lot of this work for virtually nothing, just to help satisfy and comfort the individuals that have taken the time to report the detail to her. And we all benefit from that.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
As far as groups that I have, the one that may be as helpful as any are WILDMAN Literature. That I've got most of the authors and the books on the subject in that group. And my name's Dan Nedrelo. I go with Dana Nedrelo on my Sasquatch profile. You can write to me regarding other projects that I have going, and don't be bashful. Please give us a holler. Love to include you on a lot of the private work that we're doing if you're interested. So,
all right, great. Well, Dan, we really appreciate you being on tonight and sharing all the stories.
Absolutely.
And maybe we'll have you back at some point because it sounds like you got a lot more you could go over.
Yes, I do.
And we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'll be sending you guys invites to some of the other projects that are, shall we smile and say,
well, and
hidden in private.
Mary has written a book. It's really good, and you should have it on your book site if you don't.
I would love. I'm sure we do, but I haven't acquired it yet. And now that I'm actually starting that employment portion of the life again, I would love to acquire it. So we'll be talking about that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and I think I did put a link in the WILDMAN Literature site.
I'm sure it's there. So.
But looking forward to any other groups that you have that I'm not already in.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
But thank you, Dan. I do appreciate you joining us and sharing your research and your knowledge and experiences. And looking forward to a future visit.
Yes, absolutely. And so, Mark, where are you based right now?
I am in Cherokee, North Carolina, right outside the Cherokee Indian Reservation and about 2 miles from Great Smoky Mountain National Park.
My goodness. Okay. And Mary, what town are you closest to or in?
I am about 40 miles north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay. That's great. That gives me an idea.
Yeah.
I've got numerous people that I'll be seeing in Ohio, and I won't be far from the Pennsylvania border.
Good.
I'll let you know when that happens.
Yes.
And
Great.
I'm planning on getting to North Carolina eventually. So,
yes.
Well, my upcoming schedule is that I'm going to leave here toward the end of this month, and I'm going up to Illinois for a little while to see my son and go to a family reunion. And then I'll probably be back down here, and then I'll go back to Illinois. Well, if I don't end up just staying, my plan is to come back here and then go back to Illinois probably about mid-September and do some work around up there that I've got some things I need to do. And then I'll go to my annual expedition or outing that I do every year in Pennsylvania in the first part of October. And then I'm planning again this year. Last year I planned it and didn't make it, but immediately following my outing in Pennsylvania is one at Salt Creek in Ohio.
Sure.
And I plan to go back over to that. It starts on like the Friday after mine gets done, so I was going to go over to see that one.
Nice. What county are you in Ohio when you base there?
I don't know the name of the county where Salt Fork or whatever is.
Oh, okay, Salt Fork.
I'm talking about Illinois.
Oh, in Illinois. I'm sorry. That's my son is in Tazewell County, right in the middle of the state.
I know where that's at.
I grew up in Woodford County in a very, believe it or not, a very rural wooded area, a lot of farms, but interspersed with heavy timber and a river that ran through that's, not a huge river, but we were only 25 or 30 miles from the Illinois River.
Sure.
And I still think that the reason I saw one there on my farm, on my dad's farm when I was growing up, is that was probably some sort of a, what am I trying to say? Like a travel way that they follow the rivers as they move through areas. And
it's the highway.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what I think, but I don't know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I read recently that Woodford County, Illinois, where I grew up, is also the #1 county anywhere in the Midwest for dogman sightings.
Oh boy.
So.
Oh boy.
But
twice about this visit.
Yeah. And I don't know. A lot of people say they're hard to tell apart. I think when they have a hard time telling them apart, people see what are called gugway, and they confuse those for dogmen because they have kind of the snout on them.
The snout.
But I think there's quite a few different kinds. I'm one of the rare people that think Florida has both skunk apes and standard Bigfoot, because I've had reports from people down there of them that were 8 feet tall and kind of look like Patty. And then I've had reports of them that were 4 feet tall and look like a chimpanzee. And I think the little ones are skunk apes and the big ones are traditional Bigfoot, or boogers, as they call them in Alabama and Mississippi.
Sure.
But,
well, I just know that the phenotypes on a lot of the ones out of Florida are standard Sasquatch. But there's some individual variation there, and Sheely says that the skunk ape are four-toed, and I've got a lot more work to do down there too. So my sister's in Florida. I'm going to go see her. So hopefully I'll get
my
to
experience. I did Florida every year for a long time, and if you draw a line from Tampa to Orlando, south of that, pretty much everything that I've seen and heard of, not all but most, were the skunk ape type, small chimpanzee looking. From that line up to Gainesville, they sort of overlap. It might be about 50-50. But from Gainesville north into Georgia and across the Panhandle are pretty much all standard Bigfoot, 7-8 foot tall.
Right.
That's been my experience. But
well, that makes as much sense as anything. So No.
But anyway, I want to, before we go tonight, and Dan, I mean, you can stay for this if you want. I'm going to go over who some of our upcoming guests are.
Okay.
Yes.
That's all right with Mary.
Yes.
I've got
please.
my calendar up here. So we've got some great, we've tried to have great guests every week. That's why we had Dan on tonight. Great guest. And I really want to thank him for being here. And I want to thank the audience. I think sometimes I think of this after the show that maybe we don't show enough appreciation to our audience. So I want to thank everybody that's been here and is still here. And I want to thank Gary for moderating. And not sure who else moderates for us. Is it Diane, moderator?
Diane. Yeah, Diane Fowler and a few others, but both Gary and Diane, they're in here pretty steady, and I appreciate them so much.
Yeah, want to thank them very much for everything they do for us, and of course Patty tonight for doing the donation, and everybody's welcome to do that. It takes time, effort, and money to put this show on, and Mary does it out of the goodness of her heart, and anything that you guys can donate is great, and of course sending it directly to her is even better than putting it through the channel. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but anyway, I did. So calendar, let's see. So next week we have Jen Cruz. And for anybody that doesn't know her, you better show up and listen because she's going to be really good. She's a Ojibwe native and out of Minnesota, North Dakota area. And she's got a lot of great personal experiences and a lot of Native American folklore as well. So she'll be great. The week after that is Maxim Furyk back again. And that's the 22nd. The 29th, Greg Ogles. He is with Relic Films. He makes films about cryptids, but he's made some really great Bigfoot films. He'll tell you about those, I'm sure, as well as his personal experiences. And I know he's had the tar scared out of him a time or two, so I hope he gets some really good stories, and I'm sure he will. The 5th of August will be Marie Dumont, if I'm saying her last name right, Dumont or Dumont. She is with Florida. Well, I don't know the organization name. Do you know it, Mary? I know she's out of Florida.
Offhand, no, I don't know.
Mid-Florida Bigfoot researchers. I think.
There you go. Okay, yeah.
I
knew I had better.
She was one of my partners at a podcast we did.
Okay.
Marie and I go back a long way.
Wonderful.
Yeah, okay. Well, she'll be here on the 5th of August. And the 12th of August is Carter Bouchard. Again, just, another investigator, experiencer. He'll bring some great stories to the table as well.
Yes.
19th of August, Natalie Smearman. Is it Smearman or Spearman? I don't know. I might have it spelled wrong. Again, these are experiencers and investigators, and they'll have wonderful stories to tell everybody. 26th of August is Adam Davies. He is another experiencer, investigator, filmmaker. He's actually from England, but he spends a lot of time in North Carolina. And so he'll be with us on the 26th of August. And I don't know, I guess I can bump into September because we have a great guest on the 2nd of September, a guy named Gary Spikes. Some of you may know him as Pops. He's our moderator, and he is an experiencer. He has a habituation site on his property. He has daily interaction with the Bigfoot there in Oklahoma. And I mean, he's going to be great too. And he was at LBL, had some great interaction and experiences at LBL back in April of this year. I think it was April or May. But anyway, that's probably far enough out for now. We have more. We have people booked for up into October. But that'll get us.
Sometime in September is Stan Gordon.
Yeah, I've got him. I can tell you. I just didn't know how far we wanted to go. He's the week after Gary. He's on the 9th of September.
Yes,
So,
he's a local Pennsylvania author on Bigfoot and UFOs and the correlation, but he's been taking reports and researching reports here since the 60s. Amazing experience and so on. Great guy. I'm excited to get him on.
yeah.
Great
We've got
series.
every week.
Great
These
series
are great
of people.
Yeah, great people every week. And Dan, feel free to come watch the channel any chance you get.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get you back on at some point and you
Well,
can pick up where you left off.
I was fortunate enough to meet Greg Logos when I was in Alabama. And Gary Spikes has been a good friend. He was one of the first people I podcasted with back in the day.
Oh, cool.
Back when he took Shane Carpenter and I on, back when we were having some pretty incredible things going on. So,
well, if you spend time in Alabama, you probably know Coonbo.
Coonbo, and it's funny because Coonbo and I met in Nebraska, of all places.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, and we've been Facebook friends for a decade plus, so we know each other some.
Yeah. Well, we're working on getting him on. We haven't got a date pinned down yet, but
good.
Yeah, I've got, and Mary does too. Mary's working on Coonbo. I've got a list of probably 10 or 12 more people that I've got invites out to, and I just had another one accept during the show tonight, and I sent that to Mary. So he'll be in September too. I hadn't got him in the calendar yet. I think he's the week after Stan Gordon. So
glad you got Stan on. He's an incredible person.
He is. He really is.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. And every, I think just about daily, we keep adding more people on, and so we're filling up the calendar, and so everything.
I keep telling Mary we're trying to make it the greatest podcast on Bigfoot that there is on YouTube. She doesn't want it that big, but
no,
I do everything 120%, so I can't help it.
That's good. That's good. Most appreciated. You'll see my smile or attempt at one from time to time, as I really want to hear the bulk of your guests that you've got coming on. So
I appreciate it.
Fun.
Well, and I can shoot you my phone number through Messenger, and we can talk on the phone too.
Okay,
if you want to do it
that sounds
way.
good. Yeah, we'll be in touch. A lot of things to share.
Oh, yes, definitely. All right. Well, Dan, it was great to finally speak with you, rather than chatting on Messenger, but finally.
Yes.
So, we'll close it down now, and we'll see everyone next week. And
bring a friend.
Yes,
everybody bring a friend.
Make sure you like the video, and subscribe.
Like it, comment if you can.
Yes.
And let's make it big enough that Mary's not comfortable.
All right, guys. Thank you, Mark, so much for your help. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you. I'm very honored to be joining your party.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. All right. God bless everyone. And Monkey Wench out.
Night, everybody. Bye.